Hey guys, that mom here. So today was a bit of an emotional day for me as this is the first time I have left Q for a social engagement. Now I know some of you might be thinking that it's absolutely insane that this is the first time that I've left Q. But like I said, it's the first time I've left her for a social engagement. I've left her one time before to go get my hair done. I left her with grandma, and I've left her for small tiny trips just to run up to the grocery store that's only about a mile and a half away. But this was the first time that I decided I would leave her. A friend of mine was having a baby shower and Daddy was off of work, so there was really no reason why I couldn't leave her home. And so we decided it'd be best if she stayed home with Daddy. And I really thought that I would be okay with it. Obviously, Daddy is more than capable. It had nothing to do with that. It's just I've obviously grown really attached to her. And I'm kind of particular about the way that I do things, so sometimes the thought of leaving her was scary just because, would everything be done exactly as I wanted? But as she's gotten older, I've become much more relaxed about that. So I thought that I'd be completely fine leaving her. I really didn't think it would be a problem. And at first it was. I nursed her. I put her down for her nap, so I knew she was going to sleep for, an hour and a half at least that I was gone. And I left. I was running late, so that kind of kept my mind preoccupied. I went and I got my coffee, and then I started driving. And at first it was really relaxing initially. I had my coffee, I was in my car by myself, I had my music playing as loud as I wanted. I'm like, oh my goodness, I haven't done this since before I had her. And it was exciting. And then saying that, like, wow, this is like my life was before I had her, I don't know, just struck a chord. Like, my brain just went to a really dark place. Like, I started thinking about, what if I had never had her? And I just started thinking really kind of scary things. And then I realized, driving in my car before I had Q was kind of my time. I always loved it. I've always had a job that required me to drive a lot. I'd spend a lot of time in my car. And so it was my time. It was my time to think about things, to listen to my music, to kind of reflect on my day, to reflect on the relationships that I have. It was almost like my therapeutic time. Well, that started happening, but in all the wrong ways. I suddenly just had such anxiety. Like, so much of Q's life is tied directly to me that I couldn't help but think, like, what if something happens to me? And it was terrifying. And I realized that it was kind of crazy for me to think that, but I was just like, she still nurses. What if something happens to me? She'll have to have formula, and she's never had formula, and she'll have to have a bottle, and she doesn't like bottles. And I mean, terror just started to wash over me. And I started thinking, when I got pregnant, a lot of my old-time friends from back home would say, oh, you said you were never going to have kids, and look at you now. And one of the things that none of them know was that the reason why I never wanted to have kids was because I lost my mom when I was 16. And I remember when I lost her saying, I will never put my kids through this. And obviously, because I can't guarantee my life, the solution was I'm just never having kids. I am never going to have kids that I could one day leave helpless and having to figure out the world on their own, and feeling the pain that I was feeling. And that feeling only got stronger as I got older. I don't have a ton of really great memories with my mom. Obviously I don't remember things from when I was really, really little, because I was really little. But then when I was like 9 or 10 years old, my mom took on a second job. My mom delivered mail for a living. And when I was in the 4th grade, she wanted to put us in private school. So my mom took on a second job of delivering newspapers. So my mom basically worked from 2 a.m. until 5, 6 p.m. every day. Needless to say, when she got home, she was exhausted and didn't really have a ton of time for us. And so you know, from the time I was like 10 or 11 until I was 16, most of my memories of my mom, of her working or being tired and me having chores to do. And then as soon as I got into those teenage years, we fought a lot, and I lost her before I really had an opportunity to build a good relationship with her and build lasting memories. And I realized when I was driving today that if something were to happen to me, Q would never know how much I love her. She would never know how much I work for her and how much I think of her every day and how every single thing I do for her is for her. Every single thing about my life is for her. And she would not know that. And it was terrifying to me. And I suddenly realized that even though I had been telling myself for all these months that the reason why I didn't leave was because I just didn't need to, which it's true. Since moving to Dallas, I don't really need to leave her. I don't have a ton of friends here, and the few that I do all have kids. Sorry. So when we do things, kids can come, and when daddy's off, we love doing things as a family. And I know people are big advocates for things like date nights, but Q has a bedtime between 7 and 8 o'clock. So Daddy and I get to have date night almost every night. You know, we have a glass of wine, we sit, we either watch some of our favorite shows, or we sit outside and we talk. And no, we don't go out to the movies or to dinner, but we didn't do a ton of that before she came. We've always pretty much been homebodies. So we have date night almost every night. So we don't really feel much of a need to go out. And so we do things as a family. And so I had always kind of convinced myself that I wasn't leaving just because I didn't really feel the need to. I love being with her. I really, really do. Everything about my life here in Dallas involves her. I moved here when I was pregnant with her. So I started nesting right away, and then I had her. So my life here revolves around her. And maybe if I still lived either in my hometown of Florida, or if we still lived in Vegas, which is where we were living before we moved here, where I had friends that I had relationships with prior to having her, maybe it'd be different. But here, my life is her. And I really had convinced myself that that was the only reason why I wasn't leaving. But I realized today that I don't leave because I'm afraid to leave, which I know is not healthy. And it's something that I'm going to be working on. But it also helped me realize that I think this is why I'm that mom. I think this is why I work so hard to try and do the very best by her, is because I always want her to know how loved she is. And even if she doesn't have memories, if something were to happen to me, and even if she doesn't have memories, my husband will, and he'll be able to tell her stories about the things that I did where I would work so hard for her, and she would always know that she was loved. Because I know my mom loved me, but it's hard for me to remember feeling loved, and I don't hear stories of her loving me. I just hear stories about how hard she worked, and I know she did that for me, but that was not something that ever translated in my kid brain. It's something that I know as an adult. Logically, I know she worked as much as she did because she loved me, but I don't ever remember feeling that. So I just try to devote every single day to making Q feel loved. And for me, that equals being that mom, doing my research, stopping at nothing to give her the best. Breastfeeding wasn't easy for us, and I fought through it because I knew I wanted to give her the absolute best. I spend so much time with her. I'm blessed to be able to spend so much time with her. I'm very fortunate that I don't have to work and that I get to be here with her every day. I know that there are so many moms out there that don't have that option, and that doesn't make them any less moms, for sure. I'm blessed that I get this luxury, but I spend as much time with her because I want to nourish her and devote all of my time to her and love her. And I try to do it with healthy boundaries. You know, I realize I can't save her from everything. I don't want to be the helicopter mom, but I always want to love and support her, and I'm working at finding that balance. Some of my reading comes into play with that. Like right now, she's at that age where she should start crawling here kind of soon, and I read an article where, you know, I need to back off and not necessarily do everything for her. You know, kids do best when they can kind of learn and figure things out on their own. And so I back off. And so sometimes, you know, when she's on her stomach and she wants something and she's reaching for it and she gets frustrated, of course, there's part of me that wants to swoop in and get it for her, but I realize she has to learn. So, you know, I try to pull back when I have to not be that helicopter mom and to have her learn things in her way. But I always want to be there to love and support and encourage her and find that healthy boundary. So I'm sure a lot of other moms can kind of relate to some of the emotion that I was feeling today. I will say that since having Q, my emotions have just been kind of off kilter. I was never a super emotional person before having her. You know, I wouldn't cry a lot over movies or songs or things like that. I wasn't like that. And now the simplest thing will make me cry. What's really funny is it's almost become a sport for my husband that when we watch TV, whenever there's a scene of a mom and her child, I just can't help it. I end up crying. Like we were watching America's Got Talent and some kid goes and does an audition and the mom comes over to congratulate, you know, her child afterwards and hugging, and I'm just crying. You know, like it just, I can't help it. I've become really emotional since becoming a mom. I just, you know, I think a lot about how blessed I am to have Q in my life. I look forward to all of the memories and experiences that we're going to have as she grows. And I think, especially having lost my mom at such a young age, leaving today and being faced with the possibility of knowing that if something happens to me, I won't have those memories and she won't have those memories with me, just really hit hard. It was an emotional thing for me. Like I said, I realized that some of it might not be healthy. I realized that I probably should work through some of this anxiety that I have, and work on being able to leave her more without having like little mini panic attacks. I mean, I will say I'm proud of myself for being able to work through it. Whenever I'd feel one coming on, I'd take a deep breath and I would scroll through my radio stations trying to find a song that would take my mind off of it. My car's kind of old, so at one point when radio stations were failing me, my car doesn't have something where I can like plug an iPod in or hands-free Bluetooth or any of that jazz. It's a 2006, but it has a six-disc CD changer. So I was like, oh, I bet you I have an awesome CD in here. No, I had things like Sarah McLachlan, which were not helping like the emotional crises I was going through. So, but I tried really hard to work through it. I didn't obsessively text Daddy, a couple, just how's she doing? Oh, did she wake up from her nap? Did she eat good? Little things, but I feel like I, on the surface, was working through it well, but inside, the emotional turmoil that I had was really, really rough. I wanted to share. I'm sure there are some other moms that maybe could relate, and maybe not because you lost your mom at a young age, but just leaving your baby for the first time for a social engagement was hard. Maybe you had mommy guilt, or you were scared, if not scared for your child, but scared for yourself like I was. I had no doubt in my mind she would be fine. She was with Daddy, and I knew that she'd be 100% okay. I was worried that if something had happened to me and she had lost her mommy before she ever had a chance to really get to know her mommy. And so maybe some of you could relate. But I just had to share it and get it off of my chest. I'm kind of one of those people that sometimes once I put something out there and I can talk through it and I can hear it out loud, it helps me heal. So thanks for letting me share this and hopefully heal this little part of me. And this will definitely be something that I'll be working on more. You'll hear more about it as I go through this journey of dealing with this anxiety that I have. I have to realize that we all have our own fate, and even if my fate will be similar to my mom's and I will have to leave Q sooner than I want, that's our destiny. That's what's written for us, and it will work out the way that it's supposed to. And I need to just have trust and faith in God's plan. And I also have to know that just because I lost my mom early doesn't mean Q will experience that, and I need to not let that fear and anxiety hold me back from living my life. So I'm going to be working on that. I'll keep you guys posted. Thanks for letting me share, and I hope that if you go through something similar, this helps you know that you're not alone and we could work through it together. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to watch more, check out one of my other videos and subscribe to my page. I'm also really active on other social media outlets, so please follow me on Instagram and Twitter. You can click on the links to my page or search me using @officialthatmom. Thank you again so much for watching, and always remember, don't be afraid to be that mom. I'll see you next time. Bye.